Hey everyone, welcome back to the Bruce Williams channel. On my wrist today is a Seiko SRPG 47K1. This is the latest member of my watch rotation, and I put it on a German-made polished Milanese style mesh that I think looks really beautiful. But today I want to talk about a rather uncomfortable subject, kind of a sticky subject that thousands of watch enthusiasts are starting to find themselves in right now. And I think by the year's end here in 2021, thousands more will be in a similar position. And let me read an email, and I'm going to be dropping in pictures of a beautiful Vacheron Constantin Overseas 4500V. It's a watch that I purchased back in 2020. I have since moved on from this watch. I am on to other watches. But it's the subject matter of today's video, and it doesn't just apply to Vacheron Constantin. It also applies to Rolex. It applies to Patek Philippe. It applies to certain Grand Seiko, certain Omega, and certainly Audemars Piguet, a number of different luxury brands. Let's get into the email here. And actually, guys, before I read it, I'm going to share my opinions, and they probably won't be received all that well, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts and what you think. So John says, "Hey Bruce, I'm sorry if this email comes across as a little bit of a rant. I don't want to sound entitled in this email, but I guess I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated with the watch industry. For the past couple of years, I really wanted the Vacheron Constantin Overseas with the blue dial, the same watch that you used to have. I started saving for the model and finally had enough money set aside for the watch. The issue I'm running into now is that every boutique that sells this piece has a really long wait list. And now I'm hearing that it is a quote-unquote relational piece rather than something that they will just sell to anyone. I'm starting to get frustrated with this game in order to get a watch. It gets tiring that I can have the money to purchase something, but I'm not able to actually purchase that thing. I was told that now I'm on the standby list, but it is unlikely that I'll ever get called because I have not bought anything from their boutique yet. I'm not a rich person, so I can only afford one watch of this caliber. My question is, do you ever see this situation getting corrected? Do you ever see watches such as the Overseas becoming more readily available again? Do you have any advice for trying to help me in my chances of getting this watch? Sadly, I can't drive to a boutique as the closest one to me is over 8 hours away. Again, I'm sorry if this came across as a rant, but I greatly appreciate your time in reading it. John. John, a lot to unpack here, but I get your frustration. I really do. But at the same time, again, this is probably why a lot of you won't like my response here. This is the definition of luxury. It's not just having the ability to pay. A lot of it is about having the connection, having the purchase history, and getting in front of the line, so to speak, because every authorized dealer, and again, it doesn't matter if it's Vacheron Constantin or Rolex or Patek or Audemars Piguet, every AD has a really good idea of how much of a certain watch they will get in a year. Like they know their sales history from last year. They know what they're doing so far this year. They're in constant contact with their brand rep. They have a good idea of their allotment. So they know, I'm going to get 300 Submariners and I have 3,000 people hounding me for this watch, at any given authorized dealer. So the question is, how do you get that watch? Because there's going to be a lot of people that are disappointed. And the knee-jerky reaction is to say, hey, Vacheron Constantin, start making more of the blue dial. Stop making so many silver dials and black dials and brown dials and dual times and chronographs. Give us what we want, which is the blue dial. That's what everybody wants, is the blue dial. So to make more of that. But here's the thing, and this is why I don't think the scene is going to change. Brands have no incentive to make those types of adjustments. They don't want to produce more of a certain desirable piece. No, they want the public wanting more. They want those relational pieces because it brings more attention to their brand. And anytime they sell one of those watches, it's usually going to a client that spends a lot of money in that store on other product from their brand that maybe isn't as easy to move. And so really, it's actually helpful for those brands to have those Panda Daytonas and those stainless steel Sky Dwellers and those, Audemars Piguet Royal Oaks and Nautiluses and all the watches that we seem to want because it helps them move other product. So part of the problem is the brand and they're not incentivized to change. Part of the problem also is us watch enthusiasts, and I might sound a bit facetious here, but I kind of relate it to my children. I'm a father of 3. I have 3 little girls. And the oldest 2, they only want to play with the same toy at the same time. And I'm sure if you're a parent, you can probably relate to this. And it doesn't matter if there's a bigger, more awesome toy in the next room that's available, that's ready to be played with, ready to go. That kid doesn't want to play with that toy. They want the toy that the other sibling wants. They only want what they can't have. And I'm not trying to tell you, John, to change your grail by any means. And I'm not trying to tell you that you have herd mentality. But I think there is something to be said about the draw of something that's desirable, that everybody wants. We want what we can't have. And that's just human nature, I think. And so there's really, 20 watches in the world that everybody wants. Everybody wants the stainless steel Sky Dweller. Everybody wants a Pepsi or a Panda Daytona or a Royal Oak with the silver or the blue dial or, a Nautilus, a green dialed gold Daytona. There are certain models out there that everybody wants. And when Vacheron Constantin released the Overseas in 2016, it didn't have the rabid demand that it has now. And that was only 6 years ago, 5 years ago. You could buy a blue dial, a black dial, a brown dial, a silver dial. You could buy any of the color iterations, likely at a little bit of a discount, and it wasn't all that hard. It wasn't a relational piece yet. So it's kind of crazy to see where it went from 2016 now to 2021, and what's it going to look like in 2027? Is it going to be a $40,000 watch on the secondary market? I wouldn't be surprised if it became that. It's just wild to think about. So here is an answer for you, John, and it's not a pretty answer, but if you want this watch, this exact watch, and you don't want to settle for a silver dial, you don't want to settle for a black dial, you don't want to go with a Glashütte original or a All Lange und Söhne that you can, kind of get, a Saxonia or something. If you don't want to change your grail, and you want that blue dial, and there's no way you're going to be buying other watches to become a preferred client at a boutique, if that's not in the cards, here's the quickest way for you to get that watch. It's to keep saving and just bite the bullet and buy it on the secondary market. And I know a lot of you are mad, and you're going to be saying, Bruce, that's making the problem worse. Oh, hear me out, guys. If you really want a model, that's the only way you're going to be able to get it without spending more money at that authorized dealer. And even that is not a guarantee of becoming a preferred client. Again, let me remind you, there's 300 people hounding one salesman for a watch he might get 13 of that year. And how do you get yourself to the front of the line? Either you've got to be a great client that spends a lot in that store, and that store is incentivized to make you happy. So when you ask for a blue dial, yeah, you're going to go to the front of the line. And someone like John, sorry, man, you're going to go to the back of the line. That's one situation. Or this is what happened to me. And maybe this sounds crass, and I think maybe I'll anger some of you in this video. The only reason I got the blue dial Overseas is because I was friends with a guy that was friends with the store manager. And I hopscotched up in front. I cut in line. And that's how I got mine. And I don't even have it anymore. So, you know what? There's just very few options to get it new if you want one of those really hard to get watches, those relational pieces. The only way you're guaranteed of getting it is to pay a little extra and buy it on the secondary market. And I know that's not a pretty answer, but it's the realistic answer. And I'm trying to be honest here, and I'm trying to be just upright and not try to fill you full of false hope. Like, hey, yeah, make that 8-hour drive and see if you can, get in good with that authorized dealer. See if that sales manager is going to like you. I would feel bad saying that. And although I feel a little bit bad saying go to the secondary market, I really don't feel all that bad because in the end, you'll get your watch. You just got to pay for it. At the end of the day, this is the name of luxury. It's how it goes, right? I couldn't go buy a Ferrari, right? A certain model. Let's say an Enzo. When the Enzo came out, I was in high school. Even if I had the money, I wasn't going to be able to buy one of those cars. You had to have a purchase history. It's the same with Patek. It's the same with a number of different luxury brands. That's the definition of luxury. It's not the ability to pay. That's not the defining thing. It's entirely different from that. And I know that sounds frustrating. And I will say there are several watch enthusiasts. There are many of you that say, you know what? I'm not going to play this game. I'm not going to wait for that Submariner or that Explorer or that Royal Oak. I'm going to go buy a different brand than I can actually get. I'm going to go to the other room and play with that cool toy that my sibling doesn't want to play with, and I'm going to be happy. And you know what? If you're in that situation, man, hats off to you. I think that's pretty awesome. At the end of the day, either change your grail, pay through the nose, or you know what? Just come to terms with the reality of the luxury scene. We may not like it, but I don't think it's going to be changing all that much. I'm interested to hear what you guys say. I know I've probably angered some of you here, but I'm not doing YouTube to win a popularity contest or anything like that. I just love this hobby. I love watches, and these are my thoughts. So guys, what do you think? What should John do? I'm interested to read the comments. Let's see how it goes. Thanks for watching today, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.